Welcome to a new edition of Mission Minute News. I'm Dominican Sister Jean Harris. First, the headlines. Our Lady of Guadalupe. Forced Islamic marriage. A modern-day miracle. Young minds explore economy and faith. And news from the Arnaldos family. Our Lady of Guadalupe. December 12th is the feast day of Mexico's national patroness, Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe. The celebration normally attracts millions of pilgrims coming from all over the world to the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe, the world's most visited Marian shrine. In an official statement, the Bishops' Conference explains, the health situation that Mexico is experiencing due to COVID-19 does not allow us at this time to celebrate the Virgin of Guadalupe at her shrine. The closure will span December 10th to 13th, and just to make sure this will be observed, a security barrier is being built to ensure strict compliance, although this will be a huge disappointment to many who annually and devotedly make the traditional pilgrimage. The announcement of closure reverses previous plans to allow limited access to Our Lady's Basilica while implementing health measures and canceling liturgical celebrations. Church officials now urge devotees to celebrate Our Lady of Guadalupe at their local parishes or at home via broadcasts from the Basilica, online and on public television. At a joint news conference on November 24th, Mexico City Cardinal Carlos Aguiar Retes and Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum urged pilgrims to stay away from the Basilica and avoid congregating nearby. Pilgrims normally descend on the area, often arriving on foot from surrounding cities, and gather at midnight before the feast day to serenade Mary. A little bit of history here. The Lady of Guadalupe dates back to 5 apparitions which happened in the year 1530. The Lady appeared to Juan Diego, speaking to him in his indigenous Nahuatl language, asking him to build a church dedicated to her honor on the present site. Pope Leo XIII granted the image a canonical coronation on October 12, 1895, and an image of the Lady on Juan Diego's tilma is famously displayed in the Basilica. Forced Islamic marriage. According to the Union of Catholic Asian News, or UCA, on October 13, 2020, a 13-year-old Catholic girl named Arzu Raja was kidnapped and taken from her house by their 44-year-old Muslim neighbor in broad daylight in Karachi, Pakistan. The girl was forced to convert to Islam and marry her kidnapper. Arzu's family lodged a police complaint and filed a petition in the local court for her safe return. Child marriage is illegal in Pakistan, but courts typically do not enforce the law and instead use the Sharia law in some judicial decisions like this one. On October 27th, the Sindh High Court ruled that a marriage between a 13-year-old girl who was kidnapped, converted to Islam, forced to marry her abductor, was not a violation of the Sindh Child Marriage Restraint Act. The Sharia law permits a child to be married after her first menstrual period, and since Arzu had had her first menstrual period, the marriage was legal. There was widespread protest by Pakistan Catholics and Christians on the court decision. Father Saleh Diego, Vicar General of the Archdiocese of Karachi, condemned the court for ruling without properly investigating the circumstances. He said that what happened in the court was shameful and deplorable, where the court ruled in favor of the abductors without checking or determining Arzu's age. Father Diego said that someone of Raja's age cannot decide to accept Islam on her own, as she still has a lot to learn about her own religion. He added further that she is an innocent girl whose statement should be declared null and void by the court. Abductions, forced conversions, and forced marriages of girls and women from minority backgrounds have become a serious concern in Pakistan. According to World is One News, or WION, it is estimated that approximately 1,000 of mostly Hindu and Christian girls are abducted, forcibly converted, and forcibly married every year. This presents the question: how can Catholics in countries where Muslims are the majority protect their children? And what should we do as Catholics elsewhere to raise awareness and prevent such occurrences? A modern-day miracle. Michael Lipinski, 45 years old, from Woodinville, Washington, does a lot of hiking. On November 7th, he and a friend hiked in Mount Rainier National Park. They separated, and Michael got lost in blinding snow and freezing conditions. When he didn't return to the camp, many people searched for him. Finally, he was spotted by a helicopter crew and taken to Harbor View Medical Center, Seattle. He was unconscious with hypothermia and a heart stoppage of 45 minutes. The doctors gave him CPR and used a heart-lung bypass machine that ran his blood through an oxygenator and pumped it back into his body. Dr. Sam Arbabi said he was as dead as somebody gets before they are truly dead, as miraculous as it gets in medicine. Dr. Baduluk reported that the oxygenator procedure is the most advanced form of artificial life support that we have in the world. Michael is doing well and walking now, a walking miracle. Young minds explore economy and faith. Responding to an invitation, around 2,000 young economists and entrepreneurs from all over the world met online to share their experiences and ideas on how to make the economy more equitable and inclusive and more responsive to the needs of the planet. The meeting was originally planned to be held at Assisi, but due to the pandemic restrictions, the organizing committee hosted a virtual global meeting from November 19th to 21st. The project, titled The Economy of Francesco Project, is sponsored in part by the Vatican Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development. Pope Francis wanted the participants to brainstorm a kind of economy that brings life, not death, is inclusive, not exclusive, and that cares for the environment and does not spoil it. The meeting included workshops, panel discussions, keynote speakers, moments of silence and meditation, concerts, and more, sharing the global reality within the current lockdown situation. Everything focused on creating jobs, wealth, and human flourishing without excluding anyone and not destroying the environment. Bishop Domenico Sorrentino of Assisi addressed the group and said, "Coronavirus may have changed the logistics of the conference, but it has certainly not dampened the enthusiasm nor commitment of the young people. The economy must serve people, not the other way round," said Cardinal Peter Turkson, prefect of the dicastery, and it should do so by healing what hurts people, meaning inequality, corruption, individualism, and all sorts of social illnesses related to the creation of not-so-good wealth. At its conclusion, the participants issued 12 points of action to guide a reanimation of the global economy. The 12 points mirror the 12 thematic village hubs that identified key topics like finance and humanity, energy and poverty, and work and justice. At the top of the list, we find slow down the economic pace globally to let the earth breathe. Habitat to the rescue. Habitat for Humanity is famous for building homes cooperatively with people who need homes, right? Did you know they also go way beyond that wonderful service to assist in other urgent residential needs? For example, it seems many areas of Haiti are still not habitable after their 2010 devastating earthquake. A makeshift settlement called Canaan, north of Port-au-Prince, still lacks running water and other basic infrastructure. But even more urgent than those needs is the need for safety after dark. 200 solar streetlights, once provided by Habitat Haiti and government entities, all gradually stopped operating. Consistent maintenance was sorely needed, so Habitat again stepped up to the plate and began conducting the appropriate training sessions among Canaan residents this past summer. Equipment was included, so now residents are feeling much safer at night. Thanks to Habitat, they can see and feel safe at night. If you're looking for an intelligent, socially responsible, and compassionate charity to start supporting, Habitat for Humanity is the place to go to invest your millions, unless you're already there. Youth at Mass after pandemic. A new poll by CARA, the Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate, reveals that 36% of young adult Catholics, that is, ages 18 to 35, will attend Mass less often after the pandemic. Not many of them are attending Mass online right now, but 51% say they will return to their normal pattern, and 14% say they'll go more often. America Magazine reports that while Mass attendance will probably continue to be low, prayer at home has increased during the pandemic. 57% say they pray just as often as before, 28% say more now, and 14% less now. When asked about practicing their Catholic faith at home, some young adults said they pray, watch Mass online, read the Bible, have religious discussions, pray the Rosary, and help others, while 18% said they're doing nothing to practice their faith. 41% said their parish reached out to them. Regarding donating to their parish, once the pandemic is over, 53% say they will give as before. 13% will give more frequently, and 34% say they plan to give less often. Overall, 71% say the pandemic has not changed their Catholic faith. 21% say it has in fact strengthened, and 8% say their faith has been weakened. It has always been challenging to encourage Mass attendance by young adults. Has the pandemic intensified the challenge? News from the Arnaldos family. The Vivat venture. In its 2 decades of valuable service defending the dignity of life in all its diversity and fullness, Vivat International has demonstrated a decisive and collective commitment toward promoting a just, egalitarian, and harmonious eco-social order. It has relentlessly pursued its dual mission at the grassroots and global levels. At the grassroots, with the JPIC network, it has been engaging in credible activities to alleviate the anomalies and aberrations afflicting the vulnerable categories and communities of people. And at the global level, it has been consistently advancing advocacy at the United Nations. VIVAT International was founded in November 2000 by the Society of the Divine Word and the Congregation of the Missionary Sisters, Servants of the Holy Spirit. Today, it has a membership of more than 25,000 sisters, brothers, and priests from 12 Catholic religious congregations working in 120 countries. The goal is the promotion of human rights through advocacy at international and local levels. It has a special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the UN, ECOSOC, and is associated with its Department of Public Information. The name VIVAT is derived from the Latin verb vivere, meaning to live. It stands for the hope and transformation of the world. The concrete experiences and essential insights of VIVAT members striving to respond to grassroots issues are brought to national and international attention, particularly to the United Nations, functioning both in New York and Geneva. The dual dynamics of VIVAT helps not only to pay immediate attention to local issues of the people and environment, but also to influence the decision-making process through advocacy, so as to bring about an enduring, systemic, and structural change for a new world order. As a faith-based, non-governmental organization accredited to the Economic and Social Council of the UN, VIVAT's top two priorities have been campaigning for human rights, especially of the vulnerable segments of humanity, and advocating for the integrity of creation. It was able to script successful stories in these areas because of its two underlying principles, namely sustainable development and social inclusion. A mobile classroom. In November, the SSPS sisters in the town of Fresia, Puerto Montt, South Chile, began a program called Mobile Classroom. This is a program that goes to the people with everything necessary for regular school classes. It complies with pandemic protocols to ensure the safety and protection of the participating teachers and students. The SSPS sisters are involved in educational and pastoral ministry in the town of Fresia, which has 15,000 inhabitants. They work in the Purísimo Corazón de María school, which is funded by the government, and provides free education to around 800 students, pre-kindergarten to high school. The COVID-19 pandemic created serious difficulties for their work because not all families have internet connection, especially those who live far removed from the city center. The sisters did manage to come up with internet connection and programs, computers, tablets, written guides, and telephone communication so that all the children could follow a daily study plan, with the exception of around 27 students still without access in October. Thus, the mobile classroom was born. All the students' willingness to work and learn has been a clear indication of its importance to them. Seeing the faces of parents and students when the mobile classroom arrives at their doorstep almost brings tears to our eyes, said Sister Angela Ramirez. Argentina celebrates 125 years of SSPS mission. Holy Spirit's sisters in Argentina recently celebrated 125 years of presence and ministry in that country. Marking a jubilee in a time of pandemic called for new ways to give thanks and to continue discovering the presence of the Lord. For this reason, the Jubilee meant an entering into interiority to discover the learnings of the first sisters who arrived in Argentina. Argentina, in fact, was the first mission country of the SSPS sisters. 4 sisters, Andrea Gertrudis Hedgeman, Scholastica Theresia Beckert, Agatha Theresia Niemann, and Xaveria Maria Kaup, arrived in Argentina in 1895, 5 years after the founding of the congregation in 1889. This year, from April to October, each community started preparations for the celebration through social media and online meetings, among ourselves and with our collaborators in mission. The preparatory novena was a time of blessing when sisters from all 3 provinces joined together along with sisters from Paraguay, Bolivia, and Chile. On the November 12th anniversary, celebrations were held in the communities and streamed online. Other gatherings occurred in different places like Crespo, where the educational community organized a caravan of cars, and as it passed, many people greeted the sisters from the doors of their houses, and the students did so wearing the school uniform. The 2 communities of Cordoba joined the Holy Spirit's Adoration Sisters for Mass and lunch. The pastoral and other educational communities took part in community prayers and published the event on social media. Now the sisters begin a new year, not knowing what it will bring, and perhaps they will not even see the sowing either. So with the psalmist we pray, "Do not abandon the work of your hands," says Sister Laura from Argentina. Time to unlock innate capacities. The unprecedented pandemic has created havoc across the globe. Loss of human life, crash of economies, and increasing unemployment are some of the hard facts. Amid this uncertainty, the youth of St. Francis Catholic Church, Punjab, India, decided to have some fun with an encouraging program. Under the guidance of Sister Sheila de Silva, SSPS, they explored various platforms to transform the havoc into a blessing in disguise. The power of technology was harnessed to organize several online competitions. The theme, "One Step Towards Holiness," was presented by the youth through song, dance, stories, painting, and more. They also organized awareness programs at Bobby Sundari HIV Project Center through street play on HIV and AIDS. The programs were later presented at 6 other locations like government hospitals, parishes, and convent schools. Father Sijit, the administrator of Narjivan Charitable Society, Jalandhar, congratulated the youth through mementos and expressed his gratitude to them for being part of such a noble cause. Encounter with COVID-19 in Bangladesh. Father Cyprian Pinto, SVD, works in the Immaculate Conception Parish in the South Asian city of Chittagong, Bangladesh, amid the most densely populated country in the world. The pandemic lockdown in Bangladesh continues, but the initial fear and panic with untold misery for the poor, low-income earners, and migrant workers seem to be lessening. People have learned to live with the pandemic as a so-called new normal. Surprisingly, the use of face masks has almost disappeared. God will take care of us, the people say. Shocking indeed, says Father Pinto, but believe me, God takes care of His people. Bangladesh has managed COVID-19 reasonably well, with an 80% recovery rate, about 10% infection, and 1.5% death rate. They say the best health practices are in place in Bangladesh, and its economy is doing better than its neighboring countries. Industrial growth with agriculture is limping back, and fish production, especially the most loved extraordinary variety called Hilsa, has had record production this year. The future is looking bright, and we have learned to live the new normal in solidarity with the poor and the vulnerable, says Father Cyprian. Last word. On eagle's wings. It's very common today for people to choose the song On Eagle's Wings for funerals, symbolizing the arrival of a loved one at heaven's gate, and also lifting the spirits of the grieving family. And God will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of His hand. But U.S. President-elect Biden, in his acceptance speech, used the song in a slightly different way. He said it can symbolize the lifting up of all our spirits together in the midst of and beyond the frustrations of COVID and political wrangling. How can one song based on a single psalm from the Bible have such far-reaching power? On NPR's program On Point, Meghna Chakrabarty recently interviewed its composer, Father Jean-Michel Joncas, a priest of the Diocese of St. Paul. It seems Father's own life, after initial seminary experience and a period of questioning, had laid deeply spiritual groundwork for the inspiration. When he and a friend, upon returning home from a trip, learned of the friend's father's sudden death from a heart attack, Father John was moved to compose the now revered On Eagle's Wings for the funeral. By the way, did you notice that Father's initials are JMJ? An interesting coincidence. And if you're not sure of the other well-known Catholic meaning of JMJ, just ask anybody who attended Catholic school. And let's all remember, we are held close in the palm of God's hand. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell icon. Share with others about this channel and the variety of programs you can enjoy here. That's all for this edition of Mission Minute News. Until we meet again, stay safe, and may Jesus' love for you make you smile.